Have you been feeling distant from God? Hey, what's up? It's Patrick. It's Rose via Fire. And I pray this message reaches who it needs to reach. So let's talk about, have you been feeling distant from God? You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to start off this message by saying that feeling distant from God, it could happen in different areas of your life. You know what I'm saying? You could be feeling distant from God in communication. Like, you feel like you've not been communicating with God enough. You know what I'm saying? You feel like you've not been praying to God enough. Like, in one area of your life, you could actually be like trying your best to stay close to God. But in another area of your life, you know what I'm saying? It's like you're struggling with like being distant from God in that area. And it's like we gotta try to get closer to God in all areas, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna use my life as an example because, you know, I like to use my life as an example. But think about it like this, right? Let's say like your work ethic and you're working for God's kingdom, you're using your talents for God's kingdom. You know what I'm saying? You're pretty much close to God in your talents. You know what I'm saying? You're using your talents for his kingdom. You're doing this, you're doing that. But when it comes to your prayer life and when it comes to you communicating to God, it's like you could start growing distant from God in that area of your life. You know what I'm saying? You could be close to God in one area of your life, and then in another area of your life, it's like you start to feel distant from God, bro. And I just wanted to talk about this, bro. Like, have you been feeling distant from God, bro? Like, there's so many areas in life, and it's like we gotta try our best to love God, bro, with all of our heart, bro. You know what I'm saying? With all of our mind and soul. And there's so many different areas to whereas you could start feeling like you growing distant from God, bro. You know what I'm saying? You could start growing distant from God because you're not talking and communicating with God enough. Yeah, your work ethic and, you know what I'm saying, you might be close to God in like your talents and, you know, how you're working for his kingdom, but your prayer life could be, you could start to become distant, you know what I'm saying? Or it could just be like even other areas such as you know, there's so many areas to whereas I might not be able to think of all the examples right now, but there's so many areas where you could grow distant from God and you could start to feel it. You know what I'm saying? Every time you start to grow distant from God, you could start to feel it because it's like when you start growing distant from God, it's like you feel it, bro. It's like it's almost like an internal pull, bro. It's like internal battle, bro. You know what I'm saying? You could start to feel like you're drifting away, bro. Like, even like drifting away from, like, for example, let's say reading your word. You could be close to God in your prayer life, but you're not close to God in like reading your word. Or you could be close to God in reading your word, but you're not close to God in using your talents. You're not close to God in working for his kingdom. You know what I'm saying? You got some people out there who lazy. They not even using they talents for God's kingdom. So it's like, yeah, their prayer life is strong, but they not using their talents from God. So they are growing distant from God in their talents, but they are growing closer to God in their prayer life. You see what I'm saying? It's like there's so many different areas and so many different things to whereas you could start to feel distant from God, bro. And I'm just doing this message to encourage the right people to get back closer to God, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know, bro, life comes with so many distractions, bro. Life comes with so much. But I just encourage people to just get back closer to God, bro. You know what I'm saying? In all these different areas of life, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going to keep it real. A few days ago, or was it yesterday? I was starting to feel distant from God, as in a means of I felt as though I was not communicating with God enough. You know what I'm saying? Because me personally, I work hard for God's kingdom. However, the communication aspect, you know what I'm saying? Think of it like you're in a relationship with a person and you're working to put food on the table, or you're working to get everything running. But the communication, you could start to feel like it's disappearing. You're growing distant in communication. And once you grow distant in communication, it's like that person gonna feel it. You growing closer to them in like financial stability, and you know you're working to provide, but the communication is start to be non-existent. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's kind of like something that is hard to do. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like trying your best to grow closer to God in all these different pockets and all these different areas. Or all, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, that's a full-time job, bro. Staying close to God is a full-time job, bro. Let nobody tell you no lie, bro. Staying close to God is a full-time job, and that's why a lot of people, they run from it. A lot of people, they don't want nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, bro, they do not have that time to commit. People scandalous, bro. You think people have zero commitment in their heart. People is not committed to nothing. People can even barely commit to anything. You know what I'm saying? People could barely commit to anything, bro. What make you think that these people is gonna commit to God, bro? In more, people could barely commit to one thing. What make you think they're gonna commit to God in multiple things? What make you think they're gonna commit to God in all these different areas? They could barely even commit to one thing. Matter of fact, they could barely commit to half a thing. Barely commit to anything, bro. They could barely commit to staying consistent to any simple routine or anything in life. What make you think they're gonna commit to God and try to get closer to God in all these different areas and to love God with all their heart and mind and soul? And they trying to commit to getting closer to God in all these different areas and avenues, yet they could barely get close. Yet they could barely stay consistent with the most basic stuff in human existence. So what make you believe that they gonna stay committed to God in all these different areas, yet they could barely stay committed to anything, even the simple routines in life? You know what I'm saying? What I mean by basic, even like the basic things that we gotta do, like some people can't even like stay committed to anything, bro. Like, I'm not looking down on them. I'm just telling you what it is. Commitment is a full-time job. These people can barely do anything, bro. A lot of people lazy, bro. A lot of people just sit around. So what make you believe that they're gonna commit to anything, bro? You know what I'm saying? Let alone commit to all these different areas of trying to get closer to God. So they, you know, these people is not majority. I'm gonna keep it real with you. Majority of these people, bro, they is not worried about growing closer to God. They not worried about that. They don't even care if they feeling distant from God. Yeah, they know they feeling distant from God, but they don't care enough to try to close that gap of feeling distant from God so they could get closer to God. They don't care because they know it requires too much commitment, too much work. And one thing about God that I realized, bro, God requires too much commitment, bro. You know what I'm saying? Following God requires too much commitment. You gotta be committed. You gotta be on top of your game, bro. You gotta be committed, bro. So if you have been feeling distant from God in all these different areas of your life, I encourage you to try, man. You know, try your best to kind of like bridge that gap to get closer to God in those areas in which you are feeling distant with God in. You know what I'm saying? You could be close to God in one area, but in another area, you distant from God. And a lot of people have this misconception that feeling closer to God is just one singular thing. I mean, feeling distant from God is just one singular thing, but feeling distant from God is not just one thing. You know, it's not just like, oh, your whole life is one area. No, there's different areas within your life. And you could be close to God in one area of your life, and in another area of your life, you are distant from God. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people may think of it like, oh, being distant from God is just one thing, like your whole life is one thing. No, your life has different areas, bro. Your life has different areas. And just as much as you could be close to God in one area, you could be distant from God in another area. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, and we gotta thrive and strive to get closer to God in all areas, bro. You know, all these different pockets, bro, and it's not easy, bro. I'm not gonna lie. And we're gonna need to pray for strength, and you know what I'm saying? Like, just ask God to give us the strength to keep going, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy, because if it was easy, everybody be doing it, you know what I'm saying? But that's pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about, bruh. Peace.